Good morning and welcome. You're on the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life channel. Today's my favorite day of the week. It's our Wednesday welcome guest. And today we have Chineme Noke on the show with us today. And I'm going to say her name right, I swear, but we're going to start that in just a minute. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, thank you so much. It's lovely to be here.
Yeah, I want to let everyone know that we are on the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life channel. This is brought to you by Metadime Digital. You're on the Coffee Break Show. I'm Vickie Helm. We go live Monday through Friday. We share tips, tools, techniques, inspiration, motivation, and those things that are going to help you create thrivability in your life. And today's expert is just going to blow your mind. I'm really excited about this. So I want to tell you, I have to say her name right. Now, I just practice it because I said Chineme and she said it's
Chineme.
Chineme. Chineme.
Two syllables.
Chineme. Chineme. Noke. Chineme. I was saying Chineme all week.
Yeah, but like I said,
I called you that forever. This is the first time I've ever actually got it right. I'm so glad you're here, though. I want to tell you about her before we start because it's going to rock your world. She's had a long time career as a lawyer, a success coach. She's actually an international award-winning author, the author of Special Hidden Talents, and she's had multiple Amazon #1 bestseller spots. Her primary expertise really is obstacle and challenge busting. I mean, just obliterating them with ease. And she does this really by dealing with them as they come up, when we get those things that come up. I see you guys bumping on. I'll be right with you. Thank you for being here. I want to welcome everybody on here, including our new iHeartRadio listeners. Welcome. So when we take things and we make a mountain out of a molehill, this is the person we call. And Chineme does all of those things by breaking up those things. She's got a 7-step action plan, really, that she uses. It's kind of a success guide. And there's like no time like the present to create your future. That is the guide that she has. You have a new book coming out, don't you?
I do. I mean, it's a long. Do you want to say it?
Yeah, I think it's like
the Unstoppable Shepreneurs. Yeah, go on. Can you do that?
Yeah, because isn't it like becoming an emboldened, empowered woman and live an exponential life and leave a legacy?
Unstoppable Shepreneurs, become an emboldened and empowered woman, live an exceptional life, and leave your legacy.
So this is what's going to be great today. I just want to pop onto the listeners. Hey, Peter, nice to see you on, my friend. So glad you're here today. Good morning. So glad to meet you, Chineme. I've been looking forward to this conversation. Me too. I have really been looking forward to it. So happy Chineme is here today, an extraordinary and talented person. That's really true. And also a fun and friendly person. I got to tell you, I belong to her Shepreneur groups, obviously, because that makes it fun. And we have really great conversations. And I just want to welcome you here. And the first thing I want to know is, how did you get into helping people move past their beliefs or their blocks? How did you get into this from being a lawyer to being this best-selling author and this person who just helps people create success? How did that happen?
Well, since I was a young girl, actually, since I was a child, I was always the one that was calm in a crisis and wanted to sort everything out, make sure everything was okay. Mm-hmm. And I think becoming a lawyer, and I used to love to read, so becoming a lawyer was just a natural next step, because I was very, very bossy. So I thought I might as well have a title behind me. So I became a lawyer, and I loved the intricacies of litigation and finding the right thing to win, and it was a lovely, lovely time, a lovely life. And then I had my daughter, who happens to have she had a learning disability, and so my love of my work and all that kind of diminished because I wanted to be somewhere else, Sure. And so I left a long time now, in 2006, and I started working from home. but I became a governor at my daughter's school just so that I can see how things work there. It's a great school. The headmistress was absolutely magnificent. She was like a, CEO of a huge company. But
wow.
in the public sector, resources are really tight, and the ones that suffer are the ones that don't have a voice, really. Now, luckily for my daughter, I had a very loud voice, and so I started campaigning within the school. I was a governor, so I had
Nice.
Ear, and so I started to say, look, this needs to happen, that needs to happen, because these kids are getting left behind. They should be left behind, and if you do this and if you do that, but they weren't interested. They had their processes, their procedures, and that was it.
Wow.
Long story short, after many years, I ended up taking them to a tribunal, getting the law clarified, because the law was there, and luckily I had the background. I got the law clarified. Yeah, so my daughter got the help she needed, and so did everybody else that needed it. So it's been a constant theme in my life, even before I had my daughter, and when I became a lawyer. I looked very, very young when I first started, and people wouldn't believe that I was qualified.
Yes.
But that didn't really matter, because I'd walk into an organization and I said, well, this isn't right and that isn't right, and I said, why don't you do this, why don't you do it? Other people tried to keep their head down and just get through the week and get their pay. I wanted to make improvements. I said, no, you've got to do this way. And obviously that got noticed by the people at the top, and they said, well, put Chineme in charge. So I rose very rapidly, and so by the time I was leaving, I was deputy head of law of a huge organization. But, as I was going to say, when I first started in the law, I did as much as I could where I was. First of all, they gave me a great opportunity, but then I thought, I need to move on. So I went to various other organizations, and then decided that I saw an advert for the government legal service. Now, this is the Treasury solicitors, biggest legal department in the country, the cream of the cream. So I thought, let me go for that, So I did, got shortlisted, which I was surprised about, because the way you spell my name, racists have a field day. But anyway, I got shortlisted, got in, went for an exam and everything. That was easy, did it. And then I walked into the interview room, and the Treasury solicitor himself was there, the chair of the panel, and he had two other men outside. And the look that they gave me, because I'm always like this, it's like coming, oh, hi, and the look they gave me, they looked to the top of my head down to my shoes, as if to say, what the hell is she doing here? So I didn't know what that was about. I thought, well, it's because I'm black, because that normally happens, but it was so hostile. That
so unfortunate.
Anyway, long story short, again, I didn't get the job. I asked for feedback. They, instead of saying, well, we have so many brilliant women from around the world, which they did, they said, oh, you just run up to it. You're out your depth, blah, blah, blah. And it felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. And
that would have.
They're not getting away with this. And everyone's saying, no, it's a government legal service. Don't you come with it. I said, no, I'm taking them to a tribunal. This is discrimination. If it's not race, it's sex. If it's not sex, it's race. So I'm taking it. And the thing was that the exam, the test that they had me do beforehand, my answers were better than their answers. And there was one person on the panel when I gave an answer, and he read it and he said, God, that's genius. And the Treasury solicitor glared at him. That's why I knew that there was something wrong. So anyway, that was really my journey of taking these organizations to court, because, you deal on an everyday basis with racism, but when it comes to your work and your life, I started challenging, so that was the first of many, and I won every single one. So anyway, so I left work and I fought for my daughter. And then a few years after that, I was in a car accident. Now that kind of changed me. Everyone knew me as being this dynamo and wondering how I fit everything in. I'm a single mum, I've got care of my daughter. But yeah, I managed to get everything in and do more than everyone else, because I just kept on going. And then I had this car accident, which left me with many chronic conditions. And I felt like my life was over. It was really awful. It took almost a year for them to diagnose me. So they didn't know what to give me all these different things. Anyway, in the end, I got I got post-traumatic conditions because of the
Of course.
the accident. and they're chronic, so they're lifelong. And they say, well, you can't do anything about this, blah, blah, blah. And for a couple of years, I was almost bedbound constantly, and I was so depressed. And I said to myself, this is not, it was horrible. It was horrible. And it made me realize that money means nothing if you don't have your health. That's nothing right. Matters apart from your health, because once you have your health, you have a choice about what you do. But, without it, anyway, so I started doing my own research, as I often do, and just, from all around the world, to find out the best things to do for someone in my condition. And so I started taking loads of supplements, natural supplements, and they helped me a lot. But once when I was depressed in bed and I was lying there with tears in my eyes and thinking, God, this can't be the end of my life. And then I thought, right, come on, Chi, what would you normally do in a situation such as this? And that is when, as therapy, I wrote There Is No Time Like the Present to Create Your Future, because I really thought, what do I want to do? So, right, first of all, I would acknowledge there's a problem. Then I'd look into, is it worth pursuing or not? And then if it was, then I'd go for it, and I'd do this and I'd do that, do everything I possibly can. And I literally wrote out that 7-step action plan. And then someone online said, they're doing this thing. Do you want to become a published author, blah, blah, blah. And I had this thing just there ready. And so I said, okay. And so it happened so fast. It's almost like synchronicity, when things just happen at certain times and you don't know why. But anyway, I did that. And so that's when I got my first book out. And they were actually describing it. They were advertising it as law without a lawyer. So obviously the language obviously got through, because,
Yes.
Well, and I look at it now, and people look at it now and think, it's timeless, because really it's just problem solving. I give the examples of getting a ticket on your car when you know that you parked in the right place, or someone didn't open the door for you and it slammed in your face, and how to deal with it, how your mindset should be. Does it really matter? Anyway, a couple of years after that, I said to myself, I'm not going, because all this was done from my bed, of course, online. It's amazing what you can do online. So people think, oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Mommy ears, and we all have them. It's like the sound goes and you're like, mommy ears. It could not be your child and you'd still get mommy ears.
So I had a lot going on online anyway, but because I was away for so long, all my sites got hacked and I had to pull the plug on everything.
Oh, yeah, I just went through that.
Yeah. Instead of stressing, I just laid back and thought, well, whatever will be, will be. And then another time I said to myself, how I've gotten to where I am now, I said to myself, right, what have I always wanted to do? I've always wanted to go to China, since I was a little girl, but, it was just kind of like a dream. I've been all over the world, but I've never been east.
To China.
Yeah, so I said, right, this year I'm going to do everything I can to get to China. I've got my daughter, we went online, we found a cruise thing, and I didn't know how I was going to do it, because I couldn't even lift, my hands were so bad, and I was in so much pain. I said, right, I think it was January. I said, right, by June, July, August, we're going to be in China. And I didn't know how, but then I did more research about supplements and everything, and I started doing yoga, and I just got myself out of the mindset of your life's over to get out there, carry on.
Yeah. Yes.
And the things I've always kind of had that in me. So the unstoppable thing, like people used to say, oh, Brian, you can't stop it. Because you can't. If there's something that I really, truly believe in, I won't give up until I've done everything in my power to change what I wanted to change. If it couldn't be changed in the end, at least I've done what I could.
And this is so interesting that you're saying it, because while I've been listening to you, and I was thinking, the mindset of unstoppability, and really what I noticed as you were speaking, I thought she's got like this essence of unstoppability. I mean, it's not just that you've had things in your life that you've had to overcome and that you've done this. It's like your whole attitude is unstoppable. It's not just a mindset. It's literally all of you that becomes unstoppable. And you've had such incredible success in spite of those odds. You've had such incredible insights coming up. And no matter what happened, you asked a couple of questions, and I thought they were so good. One is, what do I want to do? I mean, when life looks completely opposite from us, and we're in that thing that you could be, you said you were depressed and in tears, and you could be in that dark spot, and people forget to ask, what do they want in life? And then when you said, I've always wanted to go to China, I've always wanted to. Now, if you all are listening right now, those two questions, what do I want to do? And I've always wanted to fill in that blank, because those are, part of the being, it's like, it's an attitude, it's a point of view, it's a life rhythm to be unstoppable. And when she speaks, if you're watching her, you can see, you can feel that she's already unstoppable. They're talking over here, and I want to go over here. Yes, mindset is so critical to one's success. Thank you, MJ. I really like that. I love hearing your journey of strength, determination, and the road to success. Great story of inspiration for everyone. I agree, because we think something about being unstoppable is only when we have obstacles. Unstoppability is an attitude. She used it to create what she always wanted to do in life, not just go through the obstacle, but what she always wanted to do. Let me ask you something. I like chi. Is that okay?
Oh, chi's fine. Yeah,
Chi is good because it's the Chinese word for life force. And unstoppability is her life force. It is chi. And it's so interesting that you are staying in that position. You guys, I see you all. I love you all. And, I'm just going to let this conversation go. Chineme has lived her life as unstoppable. Yes. And it's unstoppable in spite of. In spite of what could look bleak. Tell me 3 things you do to help you feel unstoppable. Or if you were talking to somebody and said, here are 3 things that you can do to become unstoppable as a way of life, not as a one-off, as a way of life, because that's really what you have.
Well, first and foremost, I say take care of your health. When this coronavirus thing started, right back in February, March, I was really into politics. I was always, but I don't know if people must have noticed that I've stepped back, because over the summer I felt like I was going to have a nervous breakdown, with all what was going on in the world. And I just stepped back and said, look, it's better for me to be able to help other people. People were very scared, I had people calling me up and saying, oh, blah, blah, blah. I said, look, don't worry. Just assume you're going to get it. So make sure you fortify your body, your immune system, build it up, get your elderberry juice, get your vitamin C and D and your zinc and all that. Take everything you can to strengthen your body. So when it comes
right now,
it's just going to bounce off you.
That's right.
So health is the first thing. And, never, because I'd always been fit anyway. I was in the gym, and then I couldn't do that anymore. It was a nightmare. But, that's when I really realized that without your health, you have nothing. Right. So make sure you're healthy. Try and get as healthy as you can. Be it. I mean, I can't even run or jog anymore. But then I've got one of those bike things at home, so I can just sit down and watch TV. And there's things you can do, even if you're sitting down like this, and you can clench and you can do things that your body will thank you for. Right. So number one is health. Another one, which I think is important. Very important, and I keep saying to my daughter that it is really important. I have an insatiable thirst for knowledge. I'm just so curious about everything. So it doesn't matter what it is. I don't buy newspapers, and I try so hard to stay away from the news sites because I just get pulled in, and I'm reading because I love to read, like I said before.
Me too.
So I used to read everything, and even now I'll read. That's why when my daughter had this learning disability, it's almost like she was given to me by God. He said, children need you, make sure that they can learn to read, because they just discard these kids. And I said, that's not happening to my child, And within weeks of her going to this place where I had identified, she was reading, right? So don't let anyone put you off, right? So educate yourself, make sure you're healthy. And the next thing, I think, is really just don't give up. Don't give up. Who was it that said, was it Les Brown? He says, if you fall down, just, if you can't walk, crawl. Was it him that said that? If you can't do this, do that, but just don't stop moving, keep it going. And especially, I think having a goal obviously helped, because that thing about China, I had to get fit. I had to get out of bed. I had a yoga teacher come around. I was determined. It was all booked up. Everything was paid for. It cost a fortune. And we were getting on that plane, and we did. So that's the thing. Also, have a plan, or have a goal. They call them goals, but just have something that you really want to do. Go out of your comfort zone. Actually, that could be number 4. You must step out your comfort zone, because most people are too frightened. They go so far and say, oh no, I'm not comfortable with that, and they stay where they are. So they stay where they are for their whole lives.
Yeah.
Right. So you have these brilliant minds that are too fearful to live.
Yes. This is, it's so interesting. MJ, thank you for this. When the teacher is ready, the student shows up. It's interesting right now because I feel a lot of camaraderie between us, always have. And one of the things that I know is the insatiability of learning. That gives us purpose, believe it or not. The more that you understand or learn, there is nothing like the power of an aha moment. Like, ooh, this is something to learn or know. I love that. I love how you talked about health. I loved how you talked about the coronavirus, because I had the same thing. We have everything in the house that we need, that we take every day, so that our bodies are working like, strong immune systems. I think those are really important. But I notice also something that you have in your attitude that is uplifting and positive. It helps you be kind in rooms or things like that. And I want to talk about that, because a lot of people are afraid to show up as who they are authentically. They're just afraid to allow themselves to be who they are in a room. And I'm wondering, because I really feel that from you, how do you help someone who is like, if they come into your coaching program or something, how do you help them uncover themselves so that they can be themselves authentically?
Yeah, it's funny because people do say that I'm inspirational, and something
you are.
Something that I missed out earlier was when I was in my bed. I thought, well, what can I do? So I thought coaching. So I did an online coaching program, and then I started coaching people like on Skype, from Kenya all around the world. And it was I loved doing it, and the satisfaction to see these people blossom and grow and attempt things that they didn't want to attempt. I mean, and there was a bit of friction with one in particular, the woman who really wanted to do well where she was. She used to live here and work for a charity. She went over to Kenya, and there was an opening that she really wanted to go for. She said, I've never done management before, and I've never done this before. And I said, well, there's always a first time for everything. And so I just stopped her from being anxious and took her back to what she needed to do. Found out what the job was and what she needed to do and everything. And then I literally just coached her, and she, I just told her, well, find this out, find that out. I mean, I didn't tell her anything. I just said, make sure that you know about this, make sure you know about that. So she did the work herself. But whenever she came back, week after week, because even after she got the job, we kept in contact, her confidence just grew. And that's only because I think I had faith in her. If you show people, or if you let people know that you care, that does so much for their confidence. It's quite amazing.
That's right.
And I say to my daughter, like, we go into, I hate when we're in restaurants and people are rude to the waiters and stuff.
I can't stand that.
I can't stand it. Or we're in the supermarket and, the people on the tills are being treated wrong, I go in there and I say hi to them. I say, how's your day? And you see them brighten up, and they're not just, part of the furniture.
Yes.
You talk, you just engage with people, and that helps them to come out of themselves. I'm not sure why people tend to be closed, especially in the Western world. Well, actually, not in America. I love being there because everyone's so open. But here, everyone's closed. So when I come into a room, they kind of, what's going on? Because
who's this happy person?
Exactly. But then I will lift everyone up. If I go to a dance, they put on a record, there's no one's dancing. I'm in the middle of that dance floor and I'm getting everyone to come up. Come on, this is a party. Because life is for living, isn't it?
Do you see the unstoppableness of her attitude? Can you feel, and I would agree with that you're the first person, let's get out of our comfort zone. Let's make a video. Let's do this. Let's do that. That beautiful sense of moving forward with life and actually infusing it in there. I want to talk to Donnie here. He says, Chineme, you definitely have loads of chi and light shining from you. Not everyone is chosen to lead, and be an example for others to follow. It is wonderful that you are living and being a light for youth, and specifically young women. And I'm going to start moving the conversation into that, because she is all about empowering women. Now, it's interesting because everybody thinks of lawyers as people who can really stand up. And yes, they're trained. They know how to research and look at, but they also know how to look through someone. Yeah. It's like when you're there, are you too scared to go on trial? How do we get you? All of these things happen. You learn certain skill sets as an attorney that we don't learn at other jobs, which I think is very interesting. And one of the things that I like about standing up in the world, especially for women, is when there's an example of a woman that you can see who is completely standing up and her own energy. Now, the unstoppability is your inner genius. It's not someone else's. It's an individual, your inner genius. And you can see it on somebody. You can look at somebody who's unstoppable and go, they're unstoppable. So let me ask you.
What, Vickie? I keep saying to my daughter, I can't even remember how we met online on Facebook, but I said, we're like sisters.
We are.
You seem to get me, and it's uncanny.
Yeah. What I like about the women today, and especially the men coming up today, both women and men, is that we are starting to create partnerships based on values. And I think there's a lot of women in the world in the past, and even some now, who have a tendency to be catty and try to take down other women, try to backstab other women instead of support and uplift women. And I there's a group of women in the world right now who are taking that topic and saying, you know what, we have to start lifting ourselves up, or we're killing our own selves. Hello. Exactly. And so I want to talk about the Facebook group. And when I saw it, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm totally an unstoppable shepreneur. I went in there, but I go in there to meet other women that you can network with, that you can inspire, that you can share, that you can joint venture with. And I kind of want to say to every woman watching this, if you're on iHeartRadio, if you're on YouTube or Twitter, just hop on over to Facebook and look for the Unstoppable Shepreneur group and ask to join. If you're truly an entrepreneur who wants to help uplift other women, this is the place where we hang out, and we have a lot of fun in there. There's a lot of sharing, and it's a place of values for women. I mean, women of value. But I want to talk to you about your experience of why you started the Shepreneur group, and your experience of the past of how women have, probably been catty is the word I'll use with things, and what you're hoping for the future for women as well.
Yeah, I mean, when I started this, I actually started with the Unstoppable Bizpreneurs, because it's men and women.
That's right.
When I was doing my market research, I realized that the men tended to dominate the conversation, and then the women will sit back. So I thought, well, let me focus on the women first, because I'm still going to do the other group where it's going to be mixed. But I thought, let me focus on the women, because they've got so much to give, that sometimes they want to be with other women before they can open up, you know.
Yes. And
I just had this idea that no matter what walk of life you're in, it could be, you know, anything, but you, as long as you're kind of ambitious and you want to move on in your life, why not get together with other women that want to do the same? You know,
yes,
help each other. We can lift each other up, you know, or there's new ones now that actually come on and say, oh, I'm so glad to be amongst all these women, because I've got so much I need to learn. And I love that, because that's what we need to do.
Me too. Love that.
One, teach one, lift each other up, collaborate, don't compete, collaborate and help each other, and together we rise, right?
That's right.
You know, a lot of people, too many, and I'm afraid too many women that I've come across in my life, they'd rather use their energy trying to bring you down instead of raising themselves up, you know, and I'm not into that. So I will leave, and, you know, my friends and family know that toxicity, I'm not dealing with it. You know, my life is...
That's right.
My health is too important, so I will just walk away. If I feel that things are not serving me, or that, you know, they're trying to bring me, you know, whether they love me or not, because a lot of the time, our loved ones don't want us to leave them. And if they see that you're going away, they want to bring you back, you know. But I'm not stuck. If you want to stay there, fine, but see ya, you know, I'm going somewhere else. And so it's important that if you want things in life, that you have people around you that are on a similar journey, because otherwise people will just pull you back, pull you down, just so that they keep safe with them. But you don't want to be safe. You want to step out into the world and have an adventure, you know. But a lot of people are trying to do that, and you've got to be strong enough and unstoppable enough to not get pulled back. You know, because when everyone thought when I was ill, my life was over. So, oh, well, there you go, you know, she thought. And so now they see me, a lot of people see me online, because I still don't go out much. Today I went out for some therapy. I don't go out much. I'm mainly on my computer. And so I do loads of things, like loads of books I've done online, you know, with other people publishing them. And like the One Habit book that's just come out, you know, I just happened to see it and say, oh, is this still open? They said, yeah, come on in, you know. So when you see an opportunity, just go for it, you know. That's right. And so I have people saying, oh, how come you're doing this? How come you're doing that? How did you get into that? And I said, look, it's all online. I haven't stepped out of my house, you know. So people like to make excuses, really. They say, well, we can't do that because, I can't do this because. And they always have an excuse. But if you really want something badly enough, you'll work it out, you know.
That's right. That's right.
Some people aren't really serious because they love being where they are. They love their lives as they are.
That's right. And change is not what, you know, this is so important, because we're going through one of the biggest shifts in humanity. We are really going through one of the biggest transformations. She said a couple of things about being unstoppable. She says, when you see an opportunity, go for it. Don't think about it, go for it. It's like if an opportunity hits you, you can feel it inside. Mm-hmm. Your whole being says yes. And when you get that yes, you want to go for it. You want to step on it. And the other thing she said is you got to be willing to step out of your comfort zone. Yeah. I want to talk about mindset right now. I'm jumping all over the place because I think it's so important. Some of you guys are just, thank you so much. Look at this. Gotta go, jump off. Great show as always. Oh, Chineme is awesome. Yes, she is. I absolutely adore her. Do me a favor, MJ, join us over at this, the Unstoppable Shepreneurs, because you'd be fabulous there. I'm in there. Just look for it. The link is in the description below. So what, you know, it's like this. People do have plenty of excuses. We certainly love our comfort zone. Mm. And right now, mindset is everything. What you do right now, and I mean right now, today, what you do today, what you've done for this last few months, is going to determine how the next 10 years are going to be, because we are in
Absolutely.
such uncertainty, such tumultuousness. However, you can either sink or swim. That's really what's going to happen. You can either sink or swim. And the thing is, if you're saying to yourself, I don't know how to swim, she just said something that was so important. She was like, I haven't left the house and look at all these opportunities that are online. You know how to get them online. You work them online and you're doing something online. I believe that I've noticed in the conversation with you that you have one habit. You have one very strong habit. It's, what can I do now? What can I do now? And do you understand? She says that, she has said that question like from the start of this conversation. If we rolled it back and said, listen to her say, what can I do now? You guys want to write that question down. What can I do now? Not what can I do? Not, I don't know what to do. It's what can I do now? That's the unstoppable trigger. Her mindset has been trained to ask the questions that are going to trigger action in the moment.
Absolutely.
That's the key thing that she is sharing with us today. And, you know, it's like your health. Okay, so you're unhealthy right now. Fine. What can you do right now? That's the thing. And you have to listen. What can you do right now? And then go do it. Don't stay in your comfort zone. I love what you're sharing with us today so much. This is way beyond my expectation. I'm really super excited. And I'm still talking about women because I want to talk about one of the things you talked about earlier about having a online Facebook group. It was the Bizpreneurs, and inside that group, it was both men and women. But what ended up happening is the men started talking more than the women did, and women wanted to maybe have a more safe container to go to be able to talk. So I want to talk about, because if women do this in the Facebook group, then they do this in their home, then they do this at their job, they do this with their family. How do you help someone have an unstoppable ability, because, you know, to stand up and say what they need to say, or say what's true for them, or not be shut down by another man, or be worried about when someone thinks? How do you help women step up?
Yeah. Well, it literally starts with the first step. There's a lot of fear. No one wants to say anything or do anything, but that one thing that you fear is what you must do. You know, what liberates you. Like even this, you know, I didn't put in the group, you know, I said, well, come on, do a video. Some people have done them, but many haven't. And a lot are saying to me, writing to me privately and saying, oh, I'm terrified. I said, well, you know, we'll walk you through it. We'll have a little, you know, and try and make it fun. But still, you're not coming. And I know that public speaking is said to be worse than death for some people, you know. So, you know, I respect their position, and slowly catchy monkey, right? So we'll give them time. We'll give them time to get used to being amongst the women, and you know, as people come on. I love when Furley came on. Remember Furley, bright and bubbly, and so I thought that she would have started an avalanche, but no. Even my really close friend Margaret Avis, where are you? I just wait for my close friends to open up and show their brilliance, because they're brilliant people, but they're just not used to being in the spotlight, I suppose. And the only way you're going to cure that is to be in it. Just do it. You know, you have to do it. And then once you've done it, you think, oh, well, it wasn't that bad after all. You know, and then that gives you confidence, and you do something else, and that gives you confidence. And that's the only way. You have to just do it and keep doing these things that frighten the hell out of you. That's the only way you can do it. No one can teach you. No one can make you. You have to decide, I'm going to do this, and then do it. You know, I mean, I've got vertigo, and since I've got fibromyalgia and rheumatoid arthritis, it's even worse. But I decided, by hook or by crook, I'm getting on that zip line. Right? So I go to the Marketers Cruise every year, and for the first few years, you know, I said, well, no, perhaps not, because I literally tell it, we go to a theatre, and if we're too far up in the gods, I'm crawling, and they've got to give us better seats, because I really can't be up high. And so I said, right, I'm going to do this zip line, and in Jamaica, you know, that helped, I suppose. And I did it. And first of all, I was absolutely terrified, and all the little kids were there cheering me on. You know? And then when I eventually did it, I mean, you've got to go up. There's about 6 or 7 layers. So about the 4th one, I was getting comfortable. By the 5th and the 6th, I was kicking my legs around. And then at the end, I came off. Then these young kids, I'll say 7 to 12, they must have been. They came over and they said, "How are you feeling?" I said, "I'm feeling really good." I said, "I'm baby." But I did it, you know. I did it, and these lovely little sharers were, you know, cheering me on. And that's what we have to do for other people. Just help them along, cheer them along, and say, "Look, we're going to help you. We're here. If you fall, we'll catch you." And then just, you know, it's so rewarding. I mean, when I was doing the phone one-to-one coaching from my bed on Skype, it was so. I actually coached someone through doing a WordPress site. This was a guy, and I thought this is amazing, because the transformation that you see, and I mean, they still write to me and say, "Oh, thank you so much," and I think, "Oh, you're welcome." You know? But the thing is just to let people know that you care, and they just need a helping hand to start them off. But they need to want to start, because if they don't want to, there's nothing you can do. But if they want to do something, then I realized that doing it one-to-one was so time consuming. It was very, very satisfying.
That's why I stopped. It's satisfying, but time consuming.
Yeah, and you know, you don't make much money, because what you start to do, if you're like me, is you give them extra time and you say, "Look, come back again after, and we'll do this." And you know, so I thought it's better to do one-to-many. You know, so
yes, one-to-many. That is a very key. And I remember I had 7 days a week. I could only do 9 clients a day max. And I did that for 2.5 years. And again, it played on my health, because all you're doing is working from sun up to sunset. Yeah. And so, you know, you still have that point where you have to measure. And writing a book is why I decided to start writing, is because then I could have the conversation I was having over and over and over again with a lot of different people. With one book, you can reach many people at the same time. Same with doing shows like this. And it's very, very inspiring to listen to some of your stories. I want to talk about, to me, when we talk about Unstoppable, there's an aspect of it where you choose to become an overcomer. You're overcoming whatever circumstances you're in. Exactly. And I've seen through the conversation where you have had many times in your life. And it wasn't just, she's a Black woman and there's racism in the world. That's one thing to overcome. Mm. Then she overcame that. I noticed that when you're an overcomer, you'll work from your bed with your thing there to keep going. It's like there's an attitude with unstoppability that includes becoming an overcomer. And I'd like to ask you, how did you acquire that? Was that just, you were born that way? How do you become an overcomer? Not just unstoppable. Mm-hmm. It's that when you're in that circumstance, because right now you're on this thing, I know that you're in pain. I know that you're tired. I know that you're still energetic here and present with me doing this. How and what is that? How do you acquire that? How do you grow that? Other than we're good friends.
I think it is just by doing and overcoming. You know, that's a brilliant word. It's the overcoming, because some of the times during my professional life, because I know my worth. Even when I was at college, I was top of the class.
There it is. There it is. Yeah, that's why you can overcome. You know your worth.
I know my worth. And so when I go into an interview and they say, "Oh, well, she weren't good enough," I know that I probably got better marks than all those on the panel, you know, because that's how it's been all the way through. So when I do challenge, I have a reason to challenge, because one of my 7 steps is consider everything. Is it worth it? Is it worth the time it's going to take, your health and all the rest of it? Is it worth it to you to do it? Now, for me, there was no question I was going to challenge them. And it just, because I was so sure of my ground. But even if you lose, if you do something and you lose, that's absolutely fine. What it is the process. You must do everything in your power to try and get where you want to go. And if after you've done everything you could, you didn't make it, you've had that experience, you've had the journey, and celebrate anyway the fact that you didn't give up. Celebrate not giving up, because most people don't bother because it's too much, it's too draining, because can be emotionally draining. But you've got to say to yourself, we only live once, so try and get out of it as much as possible. And a lot of people think I'm crazy, because they'd rather just sit in front of the TV and, why bother, because they're enjoying themselves with their mates and that's fine. I was going to go into something. I had a very close friend, and he knows who he is, that, we could have made life together. It's like we were soulmates. But there came a time where it was clear that his outlook was so different to mine, and I know a lot of women at that point would have just gone, stayed where they were. But I knew that my life had to have more. I had to do more. I always have to keep doing stuff,
Yeah, I love it.
And so we're still the best of friends. We kept in touch after all these decades, but it was clear that it wasn't going to work because we were just too different, and that's fine,
Mm-hmm.
But it's just to recognize that, and don't, you've got to recognize what it is that you want. Some people don't even know what they want. Some people just
they don't. For their whole life, they don't know what they want.
Yeah.
And mostly because they keep saying and telling their mind, I don't know what I want. And so your mind says, okay, we don't know what we want. I want to talk about something that you said earlier that was so powerful. You said, I know my worth. And, that is an inside job. That's when you've done a lot of personal work. You've been through it. In order to know your worth, you have to challenge yourself. It's not about believing in yourself. You could not believe in yourself in the beginning and start and find that you know your worth.
Exactly.
To those women out there who are trying to find their worth, who don't believe in themselves, who don't think they're worth anything, what would you say to them? And I know this is a really difficult question because I just popped it on you, but you can only hear it from somebody who really actually knows their worth. If you know your worth, you can actually see somebody who knows their worth, and you have that really, really set in your skin. When you talk to you could have a cup of coffee with you right now and know that you know your worth. Now, I know there are young women out there everywhere who don't. What would you say to those young women?
Well, what our lovely dad used to say to us, my dad really wanted a boy, but African, they want a boy, So they had my sister, lovely. Then they had me, lovely. Then they had another sister, and so he had the three girls, but he treated us like we were all tomboys anyway. He used to take us to cricket in the park and everything, and he used to say to us, you can be anything that you want to be. Don't let any man or any system put you down for being girls or for being black or whatever. You can do whatever you want to do. You can be whatever you want to be. There was this Jimmy Cliff record that he always used to play.
Oh, I love Jimmy Cliff.
You can get it if you read something, but you must try. And so we had that from our dad while we were growing up. So perhaps that's why. But I know that I'm a bit more so than even my sisters are very creative, but I'm the details person. I've got to get this right. This has got to happen. And then come on, let's do this. And, so I've always been like that. And I'm the one that they will turn to if they have a problem or,
me too.
So, and my parents also, my mother, my father, they'd always come to me because I was the level-headed one. People would panic and say, I say, look, hold on a minute. Let's just review the facts. And then, just all you have to do really is calm people down and say, right, this is where we start. This is the first step. This is the second step. And a lot of people, they see the big thing and they think, no, I can't do that. But I say to my daughter all the time, she thinks, say, Mummy, but I can't read that book, how big it is. And I said, well, just turn the page, just start at the beginning. There's no magic thing. Just do one bit, then another bit, then another bit. And a lot of people need to get that overwhelm out of their minds. Because even now, like I tell you, I wouldn't even show you my desk. It's
Mine is too.
I've got so many things on the go. Like I've got about 4 courses that just need finishing, but then something else comes up. Oh, I've got to do this, it's time limited, just got to do this first. So I'm doing so many things because I can't not do something. But people don't have to be like that, because that's a bit manic. And even say to myself, oh God, I've got no time. And I've got to say to myself, of course you've got time. There's no clock. I could put the course out in a week. I could put it out next month. It doesn't matter. As long as I'm doing something, and that's what you've got to keep talking to yourself in that way, because I know that I keep doing things and people come and ask me to do things, and I've had to start saying no. The illness showed me that. I've got to start saying that I really can't. I'm sorry, but
Yep. Totally get that.
Learn to say no. Learn to put yourself first. Because, like they say on an aeroplane, you've got to put your seatbelt on first, otherwise you're no good to anyone else. Or is it the seatbelt or the something that you've got to make sure? Mask. Yeah, you've got to make sure you're all right so you can help others. If you haven't got your mask on, there's nothing you can do to help yourself or anyone. So make sure that you're healthy, you're strong, and have a plan. Like, I hope that each of the people that are a bit wary about where they are, or they're happy where they are, they've been there for a long time, just take a few minutes this evening and say to yourself, perhaps when you go to bed, lie in bed and say to yourself, what would I really love to do? It could be anything. It could be ice skating. It could be
that. She said that in the beginning. What do you really want to do? What do you really love to do?
Yeah, what would you really love to do
now? What would you really love to do now?
Now, yeah. Or what could you work towards in order to accomplish what you would really love to do? Don't forget, none of us are getting out of here alive. Who's it that said about kicking and screaming? There's no point, just looking pristine in your coffin. You want to look as though you've lived, you're ragged and you've been here and you've done that, and then it's time for you to rest.
That's right.
And I want people to have that kind of attitude, because life is so short. I lost a really good friend a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, I used to say to my daughter, he's like the male version of me. So fit, so energetic. Everybody loved him. He had time for everyone, and just like that, he was gone. So do what you want to do. Don't wait. Don't say, well, perhaps next year or perhaps next week. Start now. Start right now to do something that you've always thought about, or you'd love to do it. And if you need to call someone to give you some, a bit of a push, then do that. You must have a friend. My friends always used to call me because I'm a good listener. You wouldn't think so, listen to me now, but I'm a very, very good listener. So they call me when they had a really big problem, and they'd be talking, we'd be on the phone for hours. And I said, oh, really? No. And they'd be doing all the talking. And then at the end, they say, oh, gee, I really love talking to you. But they're doing all the talking because all they needed was someone to listen,
Yeah.
So, if you need help, get someone that will listen, but do it. Push yourself, Don't say, oh, I'm a bit frightened. But it's when you do the things that you fear, that's when you grow, right? Because if you're going to stay where you are, you're never going to grow. You've got to step out there and have a go. If you fail, great, because that's a great lesson. People don't like to fail, but if you don't fail, you'll never learn. Who's it that says that if you've never failed at anything, you haven't tried hard enough?
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Don't be afraid to fail.
So I want to say, what happens if some of our listeners want to get involved with you? Where's the best way to be involved with you?
I think now, because when I get these courses going, then it'd be a lot easier, because then I'll actually have groups to come together online. So actually, it's a bit unfortunate, because I was hoping to have a website that someone could actually write to me. But I mean, they can message me. They can
join your groups.
Join
the group. Just get in that Facebook group. Ladies, if you're listening right now, Unstoppable Shepreneurs, that's where you want to go. That's going to be fun. I want to have some conversations over here. People are talking, and I have been listening. I believe that's an unfortunate societal silence occurs. Ultimately, we are not female or male. That's correct. We are spiritual beings in a vessel which fortunately look different. May we one day all treat each other and recognize each other as just that, the perfect souls that we all are. Amen. Thank you for that. That's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yes. My husband has a very strong drive to be able to come up with ideas in being an artist and make your income. You truly believe in yourself. And Manuel has. Yes. When you truly believe in yourself, you can make, wow. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so sorry. There's so many here. I'm not sure I'm going to get to them all, but I'll be, talking to some of you in here. So often it takes more than a lifetime for one to finally say those words. I know my worth. That is it's like the best gift on the planet when you know your worth. If you know your worth, your true worth, and a lot of you are saying, oh, I know my worth right now. And it's very egoic. When you actually know your worth on a deep thing, it's not a display outward. It's an inward resonance. The resonance can be felt by everyone.
Yeah. And that statement was made when, in the context of the law and going for a senior position, which was so easy for me. I within 5 years I was up the top anyway. But along the way there was a lot of issues that I had to deal with, and I dealt with them. So I've got my name in the law books. They're teaching my especially the government legal service one. They're teaching that case on race and sex discrimination in the degree courses, the law courses now at universities. So wow. It's like name up there. So that's, I knew, as far as the law was concerned, I knew my worth, because I love to read, as you know, and those great big books, I used to devour them. I didn't just do what they told us to do, I did everything. So I knew, I knew that, So
I love that. I love that. And again, people are I like Chi, but Chineme, Noke, knows her worth, hashtag, and is an inspirational leader for all. That is what I love about being in your group. I love going there because your mindset matches mine. And that when you talk to somebody like that, you're easily uplifted. You're easily, oh my gosh, you're still here. You tried to go away, but the conversation was too good. Thank you very much. Chineme is not a victim of her circumstance. She's a winner's attitude. Yes, she is. And beautiful, smart, strong woman who is an overcomer, just somebody that is stepping into their power constantly, thus modeling it and showing others how to step in their power. And I love that. I love this. You have to, this thing she did say to young women, you have to know when and be willing to say no. When you know your worth, you can say no and stick to it. Yes, you can. You can't be talked out of it. You can't be bullied. You can't, this is a strong part of being unstoppable is knowing your worth. It's an aspect that has to be, put there. I think in our society of women trained to put others first. Yes, we were. That was part of the issue. Wow, you guys slow down. I mean, this is so, okay. Chineme, you're such a breath of fresh air. I love your energy and your message. Me too. I mean, come on, we have the best guests. We're going over here. There's some biology wrapped up in the maternal care that once the kids are raised, it needs to be rewired, if not before. I agree with that, because it's like they said, she didn't listen to them say your life is over. Well, your kids are raised, your life is over. Well, your kids, there's always that encore performance that we can be part of. Let's see. Here, listening is the greatest strength. I agree with that, Donnie, and you are very good at that, my friend. If you have failed, you're not trying hard enough. That's true. If you haven't failed, you aren't trying hard enough. That's right. We got that. Hashtag know your worth. Thank you very much for that, you guys. So don't just do what they tell you to do. Do it all. Isn't that amazing? I was like, don't just do what they tell you to do. Do it all. Thank you. That was a huge takeaway from the show today. Thank you. What is What is Chi's Facebook group name? It is the Unstoppable Shepreneurs. Karen, would you put that in there? I know it's in there once, but throw it in there for Marie Jo so she can find it and be with us. I want to say that, let's see. Chineme, no accent at the end. I know I'm trying, huh? I really actually, I like Chineme. I just stopped because I always want to say Chineme, but it's like, okay, it's
like I said to you,
Chineme.
that the African saying is actually 3 syllables, but I cut it down to 2 just to make it easier for people. But it's still difficult because it's so unusual.
I like it. It's so beautiful. Unstoppable Shepreneurs is where you can find her and speak with her and have fun with us. I'm in that group. I'll continue to be in that group as well. Chineme, I'm so tender right now in my heart because sometimes when you meet another woman that reflects your own strength and your own mindset and your own values, it makes you feel seen and heard and validated. I love who you are. I love what you stand for. I am
Ditto.
thank you. I absolutely, there's her group right there. You can join us there. I absolutely am going to be reading your book when it comes out. I'm very excited about that. I've got mine coming out. The She Myth will be out in, I don't know, a few weeks or something.
It's funny because when you showed us that, when you said about the the book cover, I thought, wow. I mean, we're almost writing the same book.
I know. It's just cracking me up how many synchronicities there are. And maybe we're definitely a great show, ladies. Thank you so much, everybody. Look at this. I thank you, you guys. Okay, I'm feeling more confident and set up and do that video for the group. Thank you very much. You do that. Get that video in that group. Step out of them. Beautiful name. Thank you, guys. I want to thank you for being on the Coffee Break Show with us. It has been really, I just want to hug you from afar and say thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you for inviting me. I love listening and watching your show.
I want to let you know.
Sorry,
I want to let you know that your dad was right. There's nothing we can't do. There's nothing you can't do. And for all you young ladies out there who are looking at what's possible and how to become an overcomer and what you need to be unstoppable, she is an awesome example of that for us. And I want to thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Vickie.
All right. You guys, I know we're going to be talking about this show tomorrow because I know you all are buzzing. You're still talking. I can't even keep up with you guys. iHeartRadio, thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for being here. We will see you on Thursday's show. All right. You guys have a great rest of your day. Mwah! This has been the Coffee Break Show. Bye. Really, get back to work.